what we're gonna do before we get into things, we're gonna play two truths and a lie, right? So
Hmm.
you're gonna say three things about yourself. Two of them are gonna be true, and one of them is gonna be a lie. And I have to guess which one is a lie and which ones are true.
My
Don't make it over hard, do beg.
make it, yeah.
I mean,
My
make it
favorite
hard. Let's see what I can get.
my favorite color is purple. I am 21 and I am the last child.
I would say the favorite color one is correct, and the age one. And I feel like you're not the last child.
Okay, you're right.
I
You're
try
right.
to
You're
think
right.
critically. I'm like, how would you be the last child? So what position are you?
I'm the first.
You're the first. Ah, shout out to firstborns, man.
And for real.
You dey long, but shout out to
Bro,
firstborn.
like I don't let all those first child pressures weigh in my life anymore. I feel like once you graduate uni,
Mm-hmm.
those I'm trying to make my parents proud, all those lamba they die, bro.
My
So
own did not die, oh, even came times two, bro.
This is Big O, and you are now tuned into the official TRL Talks podcast.
Hi guys, welcome back to TRL Talks podcast. Oyinda here, aka Big O, aka the Retro Liaison, aka I don't, I'm gonna stop doing these AKAs because I don't always remember. But yeah, I have somebody I mean, every time I record an episode, I'm like, I have somebody special. Everybody that comes here is special. I mean, I feel like you're somebody that should have probably been on this podcast from jump. I don't know why we've never had an actual conversation or like
right.
come across it because it doesn't actually make any sense if you really think about it. But anyway,
It doesn't
God's
really
timing
doesn't.
is best. But yeah, I have Yvette here. Very, very special somebody, super excited to have you on here.
Hi guys, I'm
Hi
Yvette.
guys.
I'm shy. Hi guys, I'm Yvette Ogungbe. What do I do? I feel like I do 310 different
Bruh,
things.
run us through the list of all the 110.
Um, so I have a 9 to 5, and there I'm a brand manager
Mhm.
for an ad agency. And then on the side, I have my own company that I run with amazing people called Conwa, which means like include us. So it's like more experiential marketing.
Mhm.
So it's like all the cool stuff you see like at Nike events, like the experience,
Yeah.
trying to do that in Africa. And then there's like a subdivision of Conwa, which is like content creation driven.
Mhm.
So right now, the type of content we have on there is like live sessions with legends on it. So it's just
Mhm.
them telling us their stories and like them recreating like all their classic music.
Yeah.
Um, Also, I think I'm a creative consultant. I just like being involved with everything creating.
Mhm.
So whoever like want to limit myself to like a particular, if you have a movie or a film or a photo shoot or
Mhm.
like like a t-shirt designs or a website, like I'll be your point in contact to like where do you actually start from? Like what is
Yeah.
the idea behind where do you want to go? Like what is the goal? And like I just
Mhm.
help you build on that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Like brand development. You know what's crazy? I'm studying that like that's literally exactly what I'm studying in school. However, right? On the
mhm.
brand development side, I always say this again because of the fact that like the way that I work, I have such tunnel vision and I love working alone. I don't have the patience. I really wish that I did because I know for a fact that I could the vision I have that, but like it takes a certain type of person. What's your approach? Because obviously, with doing that type of work, there's a lot of different types of people that you would come across, and a lot of different types of visions that people would consult you to kind of help them execute. So, like, what's
Mhm.
your approach when you're working with somebody or with an entity? Like, how do you discern like how you're gonna work with one person versus the other?
I really think it's about like the individual's personality. That
Mm-hmm.
really just like helps me determine what way I have to move in. If I have to like be more proactive, if I
Mm-hmm.
have to be more like, laid back with like
Yeah, because I
respond.
imagine some people need more of a hands-on or hands-off type of approach.
Exactly. So it really depends on the person's personality, and also like what the project is
Mhm.
exactly. Like if it's something that I have more interest in, I would like go full blown on it. And then if it's
Yeah.
something that like I have an idea of, but like I know somebody who will be better equipped to
Mm-hmm.
help you, then I'll just like point you in the right direction, and like I would be more of the middleman, but having the okay, I think this looks good. I think this is what would work best with like people or your consumers
Mm-hmm.
type of. So really, just really depends on the type of person you are working with, and like I feel like that emotional intelligence is like so needed,
100%.
especially when you need speaking with Nigerians in
Mm-hmm.
general. That just I don't want to say all over the place, but
Tend
a
to
lot
be
of
all over the place. Yeah.
yeah, like a lot of things are just going on. They're like there are so many visions that they want to bring to life, but either that they don't have the budget or it's not feasible in
Mm-hmm.
some way or form.
Yeah, I feel you on that. So, like, in terms of, because I assume that some projects are easier than others in terms of how they're going to be like, how the
Mm-hmm,
process kind of goes.
mm-hmm.
How do you kind of tackle when you have like more challenging projects versus like other things that might come more naturally to you or that are easier for you to like, finish?
So usually when stuff are hard,
Mm-hmm.
that's when like I lean more to the people around me. Like I
Yeah.
feel like to a degree I'm very independent, but I also know like there's some things like I just can't do by myself. And
Yeah.
like I don't have no idea of how to start or where to go. And then in my head, like as soon as a project comes, I know the next best person to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Like the next best person that would help or would like help facilitate the process of that
Yeah.
idea. Like, for example, if you want to shoot a film, I know the best person for that project to be Ademola Falomo
Mm-hmm.
or Ebuka, who is a producer. If you want to record a song, I know the next best person will be Yinka
Mm-hmm.
or Victor, or it will be Cracker Ayo. That will be the next best person.
Yeah.
So like I always enjoy working in teams because that way like we're able to bounce ideas off
Ideas.
each other,
Yeah, for sure.
like know what would work. So usually when things are difficult, like with projects, like I already have a sense of who the next best person would be. And
Yeah,
sometimes I really compete with my dad because like I feel like he's been here forever and like there's nothing you can throw at him that he doesn't have one sort of experience to back it up with.
for sure. In the segue to your dad, if people don't know who Yvette's dad is or more, I don't know what to tell ya. Like, even on a personal level, like, I feel like just the level of, like, he's one of, in terms of that intersection of like entertainment and media, like, he's one of like the biggest pioneers that anybody could name. So, like, even up until this point, like, even in the work that I'm doing, like, that's one of the people that kind of paved the way for like this whole type of thing to exist. And like, I think there was a level of, I think prior to his work and like his kind of era, I think they brought a certain level of like being able to like introduce like your personality into like your own personality and your own ideas and stuff like that into like music media and entertainment and broadcast and all of that type of stuff, which was like super super inspiring. And like I feel
Mhm.
like we might have similar backgrounds in terms of like the way that we were raised or like kind of having people in the entertainment industry, but like how much of that and like the work that your dad did like informed the path that you decided to now go down, and like how much of that do you take on like in the present day and like how you make decisions, things that you've seen him do, ways that he might have inspired you?
Mhm. I feel like it inspires me every day, subconsciously and unconsciously. Like sometimes I see myself doing things and I'm like, OMG, this is giving me my dad vibes. Like 100%. Like I feel like my very first project was very
First of all, you
focused.
guys are twins. Let's even
No,
start there.
literally, like he's literally
Literally
my like
twins.
I'm
You
literally
stole his entire face.
like, like so one time he was just like, oh, like I'm just the cute version of him. That he's the more handsome. Like we are basically the same person.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like him as himself, like as an identity as a father, it was never really you must follow in my footstep. It was like very lenient, like, oh, like explore different things, like do whatever you want to do. Like there's sometimes like there was a time when I was done with secondary school, and like how we had to decide where we wanted to go, US or UK. And then it was like, oh, what do you want to study? And I was like, oh, like I want to be a lawyer. And he was like, okay, no problem. And then it was like, okay, no problem. Keep in mind, there's not a single lawyer in my family. Like, there's some things that my family just doesn't have. They don't have lawyers. They don't have bankers. They don't have doctors. Like, we recently just got those things, and it was from one generation, my
Yeah.
cousins, and they're all in the same family. Like,
Same.
yeah.
So when I was now going to uni, and I was like, oh, I'm pre-med, I'm studying biology. Everybody was like,
like,
oh wow.
Really?
They were like, oh really? Mado. What a choice. But then everybody was just kind of like, okay. So when I now came back around and like now I'm doing PR and like all of these, they said, isn't it? Welcome back. Because all we have is like my dad is in entertainment and like my mom is like an entrepreneur, like so that's pretty much like the route that we kind of had. I said I'm going to go and be a doctor. Even myself, after 2 years, I did myself emo. I said, I beg you.
Just let it be. That's how it was. Everybody was like, oh, I want to be a lawyer. And then I think I was trying to like get into uni properly in Texas. And he was like, I can't lie, if you want to be a lawyer, I'll pay for your law school. Sha. I was like, bro. I was like, huh? I think after that, I was going to go and have a rethink. So like subconsciously, I feel like he understands me deeply. I was like this law isn't really what I want to do. His approach might have been
funny.
Must have been wishy-washy, but I feel like he understood like, okay, like maybe you're just in a phase, but like this isn't about. So he's always been that type of person. Even when I wanted to start up my experiential marketing agencies, like I spoke to him about it, and like he was just like really interested because at the end of the day it's like really creative and I can work with any industry.
Any industry, like, exactly.
It's like I could work with medical industry, entertainment industry, like it's not limiting to just one industry. So like he was like very interested and intrigued about that, like so excited about it. So I feel like the lifestyle, not even lifestyle, but like how we grew up, it just made things, it was just very open that you were allowed to explore. Like I keep telling people this, but him and Uncle D1, like they created an industry where like being creative was profitable.
Exactly. Like, exactly. That's exactly what I was trying to say.
Like if not for them, like no one would have known that there was a business.
Yeah, and actually just trying things that didn't exist previously,
But it's like he just gives room for openness and exploring everything. Like at the end of the day, it's just one life. If you fail today, you wake up tomorrow and decide to do.
You pick up tomorrow and you do something else. It's crazy because I'm actually dropping an episode that I recorded with my dad tomorrow, and we're having that exact conversation where I was asking him about like how he as a parent being a creative, like if he was like consciously trying to force, because like you see how me and Lola ended up, like just in general, like, exactly, we're just crazy creative people and like at the core of us, and I'm like, how much of that like was intentional from him, like, and he was just kind of like, he even made this joke about like how none of his children are following his footsteps because nobody wants to be a DJ. I said sorry. I said sorry. He bought Lola a deck. She has not been using it. I'm like, man, I don't know what to tell you.
Lola of all people. Of all people, he didn't find die to give the poor girl. It was not a deck.
Not die. She even just colored her hair again today.
Can you imagine?
So he was like, he just felt like whenever we would say we wanted to do things, he just kind of like left us to just like try and like figure it out. And like if we decided, okay, I tried it wasn't for me, then it's like, okay, you get to move to the next thing or whatever. So I think like what you said definitely like resonates with me, because I grew up the exact same way, where like he was at the point where he even started his career. coming to school and saying your dad was a DJ was like, excuse me, he does
Mhm.
what? Because like when you come into a school and you're like, oh, my dad is in media, oh, they do, like everybody is saying, oh, my dad is a doctor, my dad is a banker, my dad is a lawyer, and then you're kind of like the odd one out. But I feel like having that experience like really like
Set
it
the
really
pace.
shaped me in a lot of ways because I never had this idea of like limiting myself
Mm-hmm.
because it was always just really encouraged that like you can actually do whatever you want and just figure out like what works. So that makes a lot of sense. I think that a lot of like the content that you do um with Conwa, I think that there's like this big nostalgia elements that you have in there
Mm-hmm.
that I really resonate with because I feel like in terms of thinking about music and like entertainment in general, like I think it's super important to like see the big picture and like where things kind of came from and like evolved from.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's super inventive, like the way that you guys kind of execute that. What like draws you to like that nostalgia elements? Like why is it so important that you like showcase that side of, things and like in that way specifically?
Mm-hmm. I feel like it really just had to do with how I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
Like again, like I used to see these guys every day
Every
going
day.
to
Facts.
the
Same.
studio hustling. Like these guys were hustling to have that through track. Like
Yeah.
just seeing Baba in the studio, Sound Sultan, Idris, and like just seeing like the amount
Rest
of
in peace, man.
sweat,
God damn.
bro. Like I didn't want to even get into. I didn't
Honestly.
get into it at all. Like I just don't want to. And like just seeing how much this creatives like put in so much work to get our industry to where it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's always a question, it's always a say of this person is a legend. But if you now ask guys, how is this person a legend? Nobody can answer the
They can't
question.
answer the questions. Mm-hmm.
Nobody can answer the question. And it was just like so annoying because I would have conversations. People would be like, what did Idris even do? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, bro, do you understand that if not for Idris, maybe Whiskey and Davido will not be flying private jets to America today. Like you don't even know, like
Exactly.
that whole 50 cent saga of how I was like, oh, like if 50 cents, if you're paying 50 cents, 50 million, you also have to pay me 50 million.
Mm-hmm.
If you're paying 50 babes, you also have to give me 50 babes. Like it was just the thing of equality. Like the
Exactly.
Westerners didn't understand equality at all. And if that didn't happen in such a fundamental place in our African culture, in our African history, then only God knows where.
Artists of today would have been the same artists that are demanding the same exact things at this point. Like, are we forgetting that Burna Boy literally started shouting at people for writing his name in small fonts? Like, where does that backbone come from? I think you're definitely right, for sure, for sure.
Why and how did this person become a legend?
Mm-hmm.
So it was just really, I also have a very bad documenting of documentation history, like Africa as
For
a
sure.
whole. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people, say, oh, we have no documentation, but the reality is, well, you and I both grew up in a place in a time where we saw our parents holding cameras every time,
Every
and they were
single
documenting
time,
every single
exactly.
thing. They documented every single thing. So I started like changing people's perspective, and I was like, it's not that we have a bad documentation, um, what's it called? A bad documentation culture.
History. Mm-hmm.
More of it's not accessible to the public.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. It's like the documentation is there, but you can't just open YouTube and like search,
And
oh,
find it.
what
Yeah.
was doing in '06. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not as easy as seeing Jay-Z in 1996, like
Yeah.
on the streets of New York. Like it's not that easy. And that's because it's not accessible to us. So
Mm-hmm.
really the mission was just to document our history in a way that's accessible to everyone.
Facts. Word. Profound. Profound shit, man. I love that. I really love that because like I'm so like again, like I had a similar upbringing where like I saw these people every day and they came to the studio and like these were like my dad's peers and stuff. So like I really like saw like even being young, like I saw the backstory of like the hustle and all of that. And like I do think that just as a society, as Nigerians, we need to develop a better appreciation for
Mm-hmm.
where our industry has been. I think that that's one thing that mainstream American culture kind of has, where like it's super important for them to like reference things of the past and like reference their inspirations and kind of give credit where credit is due. And like if somebody was relevant in the 90s and they mount a stage right now, that person would still get their respect. But with Nigerians, if somebody that was relevant in the 90s mounts a stage, like it goes dead quiet, and it's like you can't even name the songs that that person had. You don't know what their cultural contribution was until somebody kind of like spells it out and you're like, oh, that's where that came from. So I think that we need to do better, and that's why I like respect the work that you do, because I feel like we need to do better, and we definitely need to find more accessible ways, like you said, and more creative ways to make sure that we're like carrying on that legacy and like making sure that it's there so that the next generation actually knows where to go. Like the same way we're saying, like, oh, you can't just go in and type this thing or the other. We have to kind of make it so that it's possible that we will be able to do that. And then the generation after that is going to be able to do that for sure. I get that. I get that for sure. Like it makes a lot of sense. And like, I think I like I said, I really respect the work that you do. That was why I was like, yeah, you have to come on, because it's super innovative. And I think that the more that we kind of start thinking in that direction, it's really going to shift. Because I think, and let me know if you agree with this, I think that we're in a very transitional time in like our culture, not just in entertainment, but just our culture as like Nigerians and like Nigerian creatives, that we have to be like super intentional right now about what exactly it is that we're doing and what like the big picture and the end goal is gonna be. Like we can't just be doing things anymore.
I agree with you 110%. Like it's even like internally, like even when we pitch to publications, like the main thing we have on is like we're trying to where like our aim is to tell our stories by
By
ourselves. So it's
ourselves,
just
exactly.
so it's not really written for us. So I 100% agree for you that it has to be intentional, because that's how one day you just see that they're doing a documentary on Afrobeats, and it's people that are not even the fundamentals
Exactly, they are not the fundamentals, that were not at the basis of it.
that will be just in our grandchildren of
Exactly.
how things. It's like, nah, and I don't ever
And I
want to
just
see
feel
them.
like our history, so much of our history has been told to us from outsiders anyway, that I just feel like that culture kind of needs to end here. And that's why I'm just like, the appreciation really needs to, because if you appreciate something, if we appreciate our own things from the inside, it will start to show in the narrative and how we're taking initiative to actually document these stories, so that when these outside entities come in, even if people do try to take credit for any work or try to control a narrative or anything, it'll be very clear that that can't kind of happen, because it will be called into question, like, oh, this other thing exists and it says this and it was written by people that were actually there. So like, you don't get to just come in and swoop in. I think we definitely need to like start really thinking about the intention behind everything and like taking it more seriously for sure. Like I feel like we've been running on vibes up until this point. And vibes are great, but like it takes a little more than vibes to really like sustain a storyline. So, but I'm hopeful that I think a lot of people, including you, are doing really good work to kind of make that shift. And I think that a lot more people are definitely taking more initiatives. So it's making sense. It's not looking bad. We'll see. We'll see though.
Yeah. Endorsements. If you are listening, call me.
Exactly. Call me. Sponsorships. Call me. Like,
Call me.
hello. I think, how do you feel about that? Like, do you feel like what's your outlook towards like the people in positions of quote unquote power, the people with influence that are already in the space? Do you feel like they're ready to really like back the youth up more, or like back up like niche work, or like invest in niche work to like make sure that it's as effective as possible? Or do you
If
think
there's
that, or
one
do you think they're
thing,
still gatekeeping?
if there's one thing that I have noticed, like in my short span that I have fully been back in Nigeria, is that everyone is trying to target the youth. Everyone is trying to target the youth. Like that's always their objective. But when it comes down to it, no, no,
Exactly.
no. Like, it's always a no. It's only a yes when somebody has convinced somebody on that thing, and then they're like, oh, okay, maybe I can see how this would work. But at the end of the day, it's not even proper backing. Like compared to America, like where they just throw money at things. But like when they throw the money, like it makes sense. Like you will see like the money is actually talking for them. Like in Nigeria, it's more like, oh, we'll give you the products the end. Like it's never like, oh, okay, let me give you money to like increase your YouTube spend or to go into your marketing spend. Like it's always like, oh, I'm going to give you this orange juice that I sell orange juice. So this is the orange juice I'm going to give you. It's never about, oh, okay, how can we infuse
How is
this?
it going to be strategic?
Exactly. Like everyone always talks about like strategic partnerships, but I don't really see anything like that.
To be honest.
Like the only time, what strategic partnership have I ever seen in this Lagos? I can't even think of one.
The craziest partnerships that I always see, like when people come out of Big Brother and like they're getting these like
bro,
I'm always just like, what specifically has placed this person as the right fit for this product? Like what exactly? Like how does this work? Like hire me, bro? Like who is in making these decisions? I don't get it. It's crazy.
The whole brother thing.
That one saved day. You know,
like
there's a big conversation around that thing that I really want to have because I really believe in. I really believe
with me. Yeah, my clients. I have no comments. I agree, Sama. I agree with every single thing you do. Bless your hustle, Sama. I don't agree with Oyinda. I'm a single-minded human being.
I don't know. I think that
I told my dad, I was like, Dad, I want to go to Big Brother for like 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to go for 3 weeks.
That's exactly what I said. Because if I reach 1 month there, I'll actually start looking for trouble so that they can like send me out.
Send me home.
I literally told my dad the exact same thing. I'm like, I just need a little something.
I just need 3 weeks so the world can see I have a good personality. Mm-hmm. Once I'm done, please just send me home.
Because let me go home. By any chance, I actually start making it there and people are not voting me out. That's more. You're not to find trouble.
I will beat somebody up. Somebody can kick me out. Like, I'll actually beat somebody up.
Bro, because I know for a fact I can never ever survive that 3 months in that place. I can't. But just that little push, because it does make sense at the end of the day to like be on that platform and stuff. Like it's a really, really good platform to be on if you're really trying to like get your leg in. I don't love the way I feel like there's really, really good potential there. However, I feel like they're not letting enough. Anyway, maybe who knows? People like it the way it is, so I'm like, sure.
You guys, the Clouds following is even almost as big as EPL and soccer following.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Like, it's
working for them, so I don't think that they're necessarily going to do anything. As somebody that likes, because I like reality TV, so I'm always just seeing the potential for how they could like, like revamp and like make it just better overall. But then again, if it's working and it's doing the job
it's working, though. The projections this year are crazy.
Exactly. So I'm just like, yeah, you know what, fair enough. And it does serve its purpose for what it is. So I'm like, cool. I just need, I don't know what I need, but when
I need us as a human race to want better.
To need better. Like, let's have better dreams, better visions.
And expectations.
Like, I'm so into aesthetics that I'm just like, oh, God, why didn't you do this thing like this?
I don't know why they didn't know you the last chef for that.
Bro, like, why didn't you position this thing in this way? Like, why didn't you, like, even when they're doing like their intro videos and like they have these lines, I'm like, why didn't you write this thing this way? Like, why don't you bring in some like writers that can like write some really fun, cute. I'm like, see, hire me for real, bro. Because
big
and Ola will
Paul
sit down and be like dissecting, but because both of us are like PR students, we'll be dissecting every single like, and I'm a writer as well. So like I'm always just like, man, the things I could do with it.
Well, let me not lie to you, man. That's what I was saying before I joined the space, especially in Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
But like the clients already has a perception in their head
That makes
that
sense.
they're always going to follow, no matter how much creative direction you want to give them.
Mm-hmm.
They're always going to go with their own insights,
Yeah.
like their own.
Again, because it's worked. So if something is not faulty, you're not gonna fix it.
Mm-hmm.
They would be more inclined to listen to whatever else if something wasn't working, but it's working to a crazy level. So I'm like, I respect it. I respect it.
Well, that's the worst thing. Like if you look at things like Apple, like Nike, they don't just leave it as, oh,
Yeah,
our
they don't
product
leave it as that. It's always they're always looking for how to like
they
step
can
to the
top
next
with.
level. Like, how do you
Or
top
even
what you've already
Beyonce.
done?
Like they didn't just leave it to, oh,
Yeah. There's
um,
a mindset shift that needs to happen. We'll
mhm.
see, Sha. Everything I'm just like, we'll see. The one will concern me. I'll try. Anyone that's not gonna I can't do anything about it. It is what it is. But thank you, baby. I really appreciate you coming on. This conversation was amazing.
Of
Let the people
course.
know where to find you.
Where can you guys find me? What are my socials? Okay, I remember.
Okay.
I'm really not trying to be found, but follow my two babies, Konwa.
Exactly.
Follow my two babies, Konwa. So that's KAN.AWA_, and then our dot studio. So AWA.studio. I feel like I have to tell the story of how Konwa was born. So I had a dream.
Mm-hmm.
I had a dream. So I was
Dun,
like, no,
dun.
actually, I had a dream.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. Let's
Should be serious. I actually had a dream. So it was a thing of like I knew I wanted to do experiential marketing, but I didn't know what I wanted to call it. And then I think I was on FaceTime, like on a three-way FaceTime, and I was just like scrolling through Insta. And then there's like this fashion company, like I always look at their stuff, but I never buy anything from.
mm-hmm.
It's very sad. But like it was but it's called like Kilenta.
Mm-hmm.
And for the life of me, I did not know like it was Yoruba and that's what it was pronounced as,
Mm.
because everything was together, like it wasn't separate.
Yeah, okay,
I was
fair.
like, I never used to like say the name, and then I think I was looking at like their brand guideline or something, like they had a highlight and
Mm-hmm.
it was like Lenta, and I was like, oh, what are you selling? That's so
That's
smart.
so smart. Yeah.
And I was like, that is so smart. I was like, oh, that'll be interesting. I'll be like, oh, it'd be interesting to have my company name in Yoruba.
In
And then
Yoruba. I love that because I do like the idea of kind of moving away from the idea of needing to like westernize everything. Because
mhm.
why? Like we have so many languages and so many things going for us that we can use, like for us to be thinking about names in French and all of these languages that we want to like try and be. So I love the idea of kind of moving away from that and like figuring out how to use our own things to make things
Mhm.
unique. That makes sense.
So I basically just slept on it. And then next thing, I was like, something in my dream, I was like, oh, like include us. And then I was like, oh, like what was include us in Yoruba? And I was like, I think it's Konwa. And then
Mhm.
I just woke up from the dream and then I called Ademola Falomo. And I was
Mhm.
like, because the night before we were talking about like names, we are thinking of names to call it.
Yeah.
And I was like, Ademola, like, what's include us in Yoruba? And he was like, And then I think we were just like searching around for it. And I was like, oh, that is it Konwa or like Konawa?
Mhm.
Because like the emphasis on the A.
On the
And
A,
it's just
yeah.
like, and I was just like, that sounds mad. Oh, that he can already see the logo in like
The
rose
logo.
gold.
And I love how you did the logo for like Konwa and like our. I'm like, period. That's mad.
Bro, like everything was so intentional because like the A's are like not actually A's, they're actually omission marks. So like it goes
Mm.
back to like what includer stands
Include
for. So,
word,
oh
word,
my
word,
god,
word.
what? So we're all just like,
I
oh
love that.
what? And then we just started like with the logo designs. And bro, there's so many creative people in Nigeria, quote unquote.
There
Because
are,
some of the logos
man.
of the logos, like it was so hard picking a logo. Like at Demola, Yinka, and I, like, bro, it was so hard. And then it was just like, oh, like, how can we like translate our studio to still have the
Mhm.
vibe of Owa, but still being its own entity? And like it was just like a struggle trying to decide, oh, should we do our sessions? But I'm like, oh, like what if we want to branch out to like do more than
Yeah, do more
mm,
than the actual. Mhm.
so it was like, oh, okay, like I think somebody else suggested like we do studio, and I was like, okay, how about our? And then we kind of like play like word plays with how our sounds like our. So like
Yeah.
that's why sort of so it kind of sounds like our studio. Then it sounds like our own studio.
Yeah.
So it just like
Creatives are mad people.
yeah. So it was like all of us like we're just thinking of like okay, like that means like everyone is always going. It's always going to be an inclusive
Yeah.
type of vibe going on with it. So that's how Komwa was birthed by me, Demola, and Yinka.
Period.
Amazing. Oh, you need to
A
find them.
lovely story. See as you just even finished us off
I almost told you.
with
You need
a
to call
nice
me.
story.
You need to call me. I need money.
Love that. We have to work together. I'm going to actually find an avenue for us to work together for
Please
sure.
have projects, please.
Mm-hmm.
Have
I'll call. See, I'll call you. Don't worry. And the way I'm thinking, yeah, the way I think, if something comes to my mind, I'm going to like hyper fixate on that one thing. So don't be surprised if I like hit you up tomorrow and be like, okay, I thought of the thing. This
I'm
is
the
what we're
same.
going to do.
I'm the same.
Love
I'm the
that.
same.
Okay,
I'm the
thank you, baby. I appreciate you for coming on. Per
same.
usual, guys, I'm here every Wednesday. You guys can follow me at TRL Talks Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, or if you want to see me talking shit, you can follow me on my personal Twitter at the Retro Liaison or my Instagram at the Retro Liaison as well. I'm thinking about changing my Instagram name to Indam because I'm looking tired.
I
But
feel like everyone goes through that phase. Like you're not the only
yeah,
one.
like
Like
now,
you're
but
not the
then
only
there's
one.
there's one Oinda Amu, and I'm just like, who are you? Like
But, bro, me every time
that can't be your name. That's
I
my
do.
name.
Like,
Like,
bro, I think everyone goes through that. Like, even like JTO's rebranding from JTO to Timmy or Sedala.
mhm.
And then even
Yeah,
Demola,
like now I'm
like,
feeling like I want to change it to my.
everybody just like wants to use their own real name as their brand. I'm like, yes, I think you should. But at the same
I'm
time,
going to I'm going to send Instagram a message because I'm just like, who is this babe? She now has 5 followers.
bro,
Like,
do you know that's the annoying thing? Why
like
do you
what's the
have
meaning
that?
of all this? It pissed
Why do
me
you have
off,
that?
bro. I'm going
Oh,
to
oh,
message
guys, you can
Instagram.
also follow me on my personal
Mm-hmm.
Yvette. What's my personal?
Yvette.Ogungbe. Why do is that not it?
No, that's not it. Yvette underscore Ogungbe.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Search Yvette Ogungbe. I'm sure it will pop up. Hopefully.
All right, guys. Until next week, it's been real. Love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Bye.